Hello and welcome. My name is Leigh-Anne Kehler, and for the past 22 years I've been working as a professional storyteller, a playwright, an actor, and an arts educator. In 2018, the Winnipeg Jewish Theatre, under the artistic direction of Ari Weinberg, received an Irma Penn grant for Jewish education. A little bit about Irma. She was born Irmgard Angenetha Epp in Steinbach, Manitoba in 1945. She graduated from Mount Royal College in Calgary and went on to work for the United Nations in New York City. When she returned to Winnipeg, she met her husband, Marvin Penn, and quickly embraced Judaism. She went on to graduate from the University of Manitoba with a Bachelor of Fine Arts and a Master's in Education, where she developed educational software. One of her most noteworthy achievements is that she was one of the world's first female Torah scribes. She passed away in 2013. So when we received the funding, our plan was to create an original adaptation of the world-renowned Jewish folktale, Stone Soup. I worked together with 8 young Jewish artists from the ages of 10 to 16. At the core of the story, we see a traveler who comes to a village who has experienced a difficult time, and typically this is due to famine. The traveler reminds that village of the power of sharing, and that if they would all come together and pitch in a little bit, then everyone would be fed. I believe this is a great analogy for the current situation we're in with this global pandemic, as every day we try to find new ways to keep each other safe. Following is a video production of our stage adaptation of Stone Soup. After the video, I'll invite you to participate with us further. But for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy our work.
Potato grower, you can cry or rip up tears, but I personally love my carrots. The peace the villagers once had with one another was slowly disappearing. But some of the village children had some clever ideas.
Hey, Beans, let's get together and convince a cabbage grower to give us some for giant cabbage.
What a clever idea! Hey, cabbage grower, why don't you give us 2 pieces of your giant cabbage in exchange for some beans and tomatoes?
I can't do that. Then it won't be giant anymore, and I have to make sure it lasts as long as possible. You don't understand. If we share what we have, it will last longer. You're a tomato grower, yes?
I am.
Well, I say no thank you to you. I do not like tomatoes. They're squishy and they're rotty. Now goodbye.
As the days went by, the villagers stopped communicating with each other. They stopped trusting each other.
You all just want to get at my potatoes.
Eventually, they locked themselves in their houses and seldom came out. One day, as the first snows of winter began to cover the ground, a beggar appeared at their doors.
Shabuya! I've seen this before. Knock, knock. No potatoes for you. Knock, knock. Scram. Knock, knock. Who's there? Boo! Boo! Please don't make me cry anymore. Knocky, knock, knock, knock. Go away. Knock.
Shush! Don't even bother.
Declined, refused, shushed. The beggar didn't give up. He began searching for dry firewood, a hard task in winter. She built a roaring fire.
Roar!
Then she placed the pot that she had been carrying on the fire, gathered up some snow.
It's melting.
And last but not least, she plucked a stone from her pocket. She held it up in the air for all those curious eyes in the houses to see.
Ooh. I know you're looking at me.
Then she placed the sparkling stone into the bubbling water. She pulled a ladle from her bag and began stirring the stone soup. When a child left her house and snuck up on the beggar.
What you doing?
Oh, hello there.
Hello? What you doing?
Making stone soup.
P.U.
Yes, it doesn't look very tasty right now. But if you had anything to put in it, it might help.
Beans! I have beans!
That soup looks a little watery. It could use a tomato maybe. I'm glad you could use these. They were about to go rotten. Why, thank you.
She won't help at all.
Actually, I believe my cabbage could thicken the soup.
What you doing?
Making stone soup.
Some of the carrots may come in handy. Oh, not my carrots.
Yes, your carrots. What's going on? We're making soup. Please, take some of my onions so I can stop crying so much. That soup would be a lot better than some of my potatoes. Are you sure you want to give away some of your beloved potatoes? How do you know they're beloved? Oh, I know many things. So, are you sure? Yes, I will. the last ingredient we needed. Now, I'll stir it up while you go get your bowls.
בואי נרוץ רחוק, נראה כמה דקות להיזכר במקומות שאז היינו ילדים. לא פחדנו סתם לחיות, בלי המינוס הצעות, ולתלות את התקוות כמו כביסה על חבל.
How happy the villagers were as they took their first big slurps of stone soup.
Slurp, slurp, slurp.
Manners? This soup would be nothing without my potatoes.
Get over it!
Soon, everyone had had their fill and had forgotten all about their quarrels with each other. They were so overjoyed that naturally they began to dance. The beggar leapt into the air, clicked her heels together, and made her way down the road.
To the next village!
And with that, children, I think your old Gran must head off to bed.
Wait, this is the end? I don't understand.
What did the villagers do the very next day?
Well, I'm assuming the next day they plan their next recipe for their next pot of stone soup.
But it's not really about the stone. We already know that.
So then I ask you, what was it really about?
It's about potatoes being the best. So coming together and sharing with one another.
Helping each other in times of trouble.
Oh, and trying to understand each other, even when one is a cabbage person and one is a tomato person. Or a potato person.
And what about the beggar? Is he still traveling from place to place?
Well, I don't think so. But if we keep telling her story, in some way she is still traveling. Now, who's going to help me up off this chest?
Take my hand.
Thank you, dear. Now off to bed.
Do we have to?
Yes! Tomorrow there will be another story.
Tikkun olam.
Phase 2 of our project took me to several schools around the province of Manitoba, where students in grades 5 to 8 were able to use our backdrops and our props to make up their own versions of stone soup. We specifically targeted communities where Jewish culture was underrepresented, so students had an opportunity to learn and to ask questions. Unfortunately, the pandemic shut down that tour, so we decided to go digital and to offer this online experience. In video 2, we'll begin guiding you in the process of making your own version of stone soup. Then you can send in your own video or script or photos, and one lucky class or family or homeschool pod will be chosen to spend the afternoon with me, and we'll do some playmaking and storytelling when the pandemic allows us to get together in this way again. Thank you for joining us. I look forward to making soup together.